Shalom, Boker Tov. We're at the top of Ayin Chet Amud Aleph, 78a, but let's review. We're going to start from the bottom of 77b, 3 lines up from the bottom. Amar Rav Yochanan. Chacham she'amar belashon Baal, uBaal she'amar belashon Chacham, lo amar klum. So this is talking about Hafarat Nedarim and Hatarat Nedarim, undoing neders. So if the Chacham, because someone wants to come and undo his neder, Hatarat Nedarim, and he comes to the Chacham uses the Lashon of a husband. He says, Mufar lecha neder. He uses the word Hafara. Or the husband tells his wife he doesn't want the neder that she said, so he uses the Chacham's Lashon. He says, Oh, mutar lach, the neder. Lomar klum. It's as if they said nothing. They use the improper key, the improper word to get rid of the neder. The Tanya, as it says in the Braita, Zeh davar. This is the thing. This is a pasuk. And the full pasuk is on the side of the Bir Moshe Hamatot. Livnei Sedamor Zeh davar shetziva Hashem. This is what Hashem commanded. Zeh davar shetziva Hashem. This is what Hashem commanded. That it has to be that way. Which is what? HaChacham matir ve'en Baal matir. The Chacham does Hatara Nedarim, and the husband does not do Hatara. He does Hafara. Shiachol, maybe I'll say, Uma Chacham, like maybe I'll say, we're gonna like an option of maybe a Kal Vachomer, and then the Gemara is gonna undo that, and then basically the Gemara that we didn't do yet is the Gemara is going to bring a Kal Vachomer on the other side and also going to undo it. So Sheyachol, maybe I'll say Uma Chacham she'en mefer matir. Chacham who does not mefer, he does matir neders for other people. He does matir. Baal shem mefer enodin shem matir. A husband that does hafara, shouldn't he also do matir? So it's Kal Vachomer. Chacham who's a Chacham, but he's limited. He doesn't do hafara. He can't, but he does do matir. A husband does do hafara. Maybe he should do matir. He has this option that the Chacham doesn't have. So maybe he should have a greater thing also that he does matir. Talmud Omar, no, zeh davar. That's what we learned from the pasuk. Zeh davar. Chacham matir, ve'en Baal matir. Chacham is matir, but not the husband. Tanya idach, another Braita. This is a new piece, but this is another Braita on this same topic. Tanya idach, another Braita, the other way around. Zeh davar, the pasuk says zeh davar. Baal mefer, ve'en Chacham mefer. The husband is able to do hafara and not the Chacham. Sheyachol, I might say, Uma Baal she'en matir mefer. A husband that he does not do hatara, but he does do hafara. Chacham shematir eno din shemefer. A Chacham, he's a Chacham. He does matir, something that the husband doesn't do. So shouldn't he for sure have in his toolbox the ability to also do mefer? Talmud Omar, zeh davar. No, the pasuk says zeh davar. Baal mefer, ve'en Chacham mefer. A husband does hafara and not a Chacham.
What if the husband is a Chacham?
So that's a good question. So, but it basically is saying on each category. So, if the husband is a Chacham, but he has to, but he's doing it for his wife within one day, then that is, or at any time really, because he can't do even Hatara for his wife at a later time, because she would have to go to somewhere else to get to do Hatara. Yeah, because the husband and wife. So the husband and wife only has the ability of hafara within the day. Okay, new piece. Says the Gemara. Ne'emar kan. It says over here zeh davar by Nedarim. V'ne'emar lehalan, and it says later on, or it says over there, which is not later on, which is earlier in the Torah. Zeh davar b'shchutei chutz. It says the word zeh davar with regarding shchutei chutz, slaughtering outside of Yerushalayim, outside of the Mishkan. Let's take a look at the pasuk. says on the side, Daber Aaron ve'banav ve'el kol bnei Yisrael ve'amarta alehem zeh hadavar shetzivah Hashem lamor. Okay, this doesn't give us much context. Shchutei chutz is that one is not allowed to do the slaughtering of the korbanot outside of the Mishkan area or outside the Beit HaMikdash. So, if one did, if let's say a person comes with a slaughtered animal already, even if it's a kosher slaughtered animal, so, oh, here I'm ready to go. Here's my korban. No, you have to slaughter on site. So you can't slaughter off site.
So that's why we don't have it today.
Well, we don't have it today because we don't have the Beit HaMikdash, we don't have the Mishkan. So we slaughter now. That's for regular consumption. Regular consumption, that's fine. This is referring to this is for the korbanot specifically. You can't slaughter off site for korbanot for sacrifices.
Because we don't have the Mishkan, then we cannot have it at all. But if we could, then we might have done it till today.
No, I mean we don't have the Mishkan, so we can't bring korbanot. We don't have the Beit HaMikdash, so we can't bring korbanot. But we slaughter now, and then as well they would slaughter wherever they lived for regular consumption, for eating.
Yeah, for eating.
Right. But if you want to bring a korban,
you have to go to the Mishkan.
You have to go to the Mishkan, and when you went to you had to go and you had to do the slaughtering there on site at the Mishkan. So you can't do shchutei chutz. You can't. So that is. So now the Gemara, kind of like we had a Dvar Torah on Shabbat that we put together. The word is Nir Ali, right? And like so here as well, it's called Ayekesh. That we have two times. The Torah says these words, and the Gemara they're bringing it together. So it says over here by Nedarim Zeh Davar, and it says by Shchutei Chutz Zeh Davar. So back to the Gemara. Ma b'shchutei chutz Aharon ubanav v'chol Yisrael. It's referring. It says in the pasuk. This is a law for all of the Jewish nation. Aaron, his children, and all of Israel. It's not like Aaron was a Kohen. Maybe he could slaughter at home and then bring the animal slaughtered already. No, it's for everyone. Aaron ubanav v'chol Yisrael. Af parashat Nedarim Aaron ubanav v'chol Yisrael. So too, the story of the parasha of Nedarim, it's for Aaron, Ubanav, and all Israel. And that's also the fact that all of Bnei Israel could do Hatarat Nedarim. I say it doesn't need to. Chacham is if he's one person, but if it's three people, it could be anyone. So, but right now we'll see what the comparison, but the comparison is that Nedarim apply to everyone, just like Shchutei Chutz applies to everyone. So Nedarim applies to everyone. Because the truth is, Nedarim, it doesn't tell us who it applies to. I mean, we assume. Well, the pasuk of Zeh Davar of Nedarim, if you want to go back to it, there is the Deber Moshe Rashi Hamatot Livnei Yisrael Lemor Zeh Davar Sheis Hashem. Rashi Hamatot, we're going to see in a moment, the heads of the tribes. Livnei Yisrael. Moshe speaks to Rashi Hamatot to speak to Bnei Israel. Okay, so comparison number one is from Shchutei Chutz. It says Aaron, Banav, and Israel. So too for Nedarim, we say that it's talking about everyone. Back to the Gemara, 3, 6, 8 lines down. Umakan Rashi Hamatot, just like over here by Nedarim, it says in the pasuk Rashi Hamatot. Af lehalan Rashi Hamatot. So too over there, it's Rashi Hamatot. Now we'll see what that means by Rashi Hamatot over here and over there. So let's see. Says the Gemara. Let me just take a look at the round a second. Let me see if. Okay, says the Gemara. First one line, Parashat Nedarim. Parashat Nedarim L'mayil Chita. So, regarding the Parashat Nedarim, what's the halacha that we derive from the fact that now you've connected Aaron Banav v'Kol Yisrael? What's the connection after Nedarim? Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov, leachshir shlosha hedyotot, to say that three regular people are kosher to undo a neder. For this mini bet din of for Nedarim, it's anyone from Israel. It says the pasuk, says the Gemara, Rashi Matot Ktiv. Hold on a second, the pasuk by Nedarim says Rashi Matot. And says the Gemara, Amar Rav Chisda, Veitim Rav Yochanan. Says Rav Chisda, some say it was Rav Yochanan, that says Beyachid Mumche. If it's one person, then it's a mumche, an expert, which is the chacham, and that's what Rashi Matot is. So Rashi Matot tells me that I can go to one person to undo, one chacham to undo my neder, and the minhag in general is to always go to three. Because often if you go to a tzaddik and you say, I want you to undo my neder, you're a chacham, he'll say, I'm not worthy enough to do it on my own, I'll get two other people. And if he's not, then but anyways, unless he's a mefursam tzaddik, he would agree to do that, but maybe under certain circumstances, generally we do it under three people. But we learn from Rashi Matot that Yachid is, because Rashi Matot, Yachid works from Aaron Banav Bnei Israel, that's Lachshir Shlosha Hedyotot, for three regular people. Thank you.
Oh, Jeff's also.
Oh, hey guys.
Good morning.
Sorry, we started already. We didn't see any action on the chat. Sorry about that. So we are 78A. We started at the top line. Right now we are about halfway down, a little less than halfway down. Okay. So kind of bringing you up to speed in 30 seconds is there's a connection between Nedarim and Shchutei Chutz. Shchutei Chutz means that you're not allowed to slaughter animals for korbans outside of the Mishkan. So here it says the word Zeh Hadavar, by Nedarim there it says Zeh Hadavar, and we're learning laws from there to here and here to there. That's called a Hekesh. There's a connection between those two psukim. So we've learned for Nedarim, we learn because it says by Shchutei Chutz, it says for all of Bnei Israel, Aaron ubanav kol Israel, we learn that the three people that you go to undo your neder can be any one of Israel. By Nedarim it says Rashi Hamatot, the heads of the tribes. What does that teach us? That teaches us that you could go to even one person who is a chacham, and that is like the head of a tribe. Okay, so that's what we're actually up to. Now, the Ran, I'll speak it out, that he says, the three people, of course it's anyone from Bnei Israel, but they need to have a minimum of, if you take a look at the Ran, it says, Shlosha shen yod'in liftoach matirin kezaken. They know how to open up a neder and matir like an old person, like a tzaddik. Like they know what the concept of nedarim is. You can't just go to three random guys that don't know anything about anything. Like you undo my neder, you know what you're talking about, right? So here it's they understand the concept of nedarim, and they understand the concept a little bit, and therefore they could yodim liftoach. One more point. Okay, let's look at the Ran. Beyachid mumche. It's toward the end of the thin lines. Beyachid mumche. It says the Ran. The kevan the gzira shava marbi hedyotot. since the Gzera Shava, sorry, the Gzera Shava is the connection from Psukim, includes regular Jews, Rashem Matot Memayet Lehu, but Rashem Matot excludes regular Jews. It means only heads of tribes. Al Korchach Itlehu Lekiyumi Tarvayu. You must uphold both of these. You need to uphold both of these. You need to uphold a situation where Nedarim, to undo Nedarim, it's with only a head of a tribe, and to undo Nedarim, it's even with regular people. So how does that work? Rashem Matot beyachid, ve'edyatot bishlosha. So that's what we learned. The head, the Rashem Matot is with one person. That's at Chacham and Yodot b'shlosha. So here's the Gemara that we've said this concept many times. How they refer to three people. Chacham, one person undoes it. This is the source. Now here's an interesting part that Ran says, which maybe you might have thought of this question: where did we get three from? Like, okay, Yachid Mumche is one person that's a Chacham Rashem Matot. Every tribe had one leader. So where do we get three from to undo the neder? For regular people, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 2, maybe it's, I don't know. It says the Ran, V'chite tlata is shlosha, taf and lam and shin are interchangeable. If you'd say 3, menalach, where do we get it from? Says the Ran, kevan de mafak le michad, since we've excluded from one because we said that Rashem Matot is one. That Chacham is one. So therefore, regular people must be more than one. Ukme atlata ke'en betin. We set it up as 3, like a betin. It looks like a betin. The minimum look of a betin is 3, and therefore, it must be that is the, because it doesn't say any other numbers. It's for sure more than one, because one is a Chacham.
That comes from Nedarim.
That what? That the betin is 3. Yeah, Chazak. So that's what we're saying over here. Okay, perfect. Back to the Gemara. We are 3, 6, 9, 11 lines down. Sorry, make that 13. Last one on the line is Rashi Hamatot. So Rashi Hamatot b'shchutei chutz l'mayil cheta. Now that we've connected the psukim of shchutei chutz and nedarim, and by shchutei chutz, by Nedarim it says Rashi Hamatot, the heads of tribes. So what does that have to do with anything of the laws of Shchutei Chutz? Answers the Gemara, Amar Rav Sheshet, Lomar, Sheyesh She'ela Behekdesh. That there is She'ela when it comes to Hekdesh. Let's look at the next run. It's the 2 lines up in the thin lines. Lomar sheyesh she'ela behekdesh. She'im hikdish behema v'shachta b'chutz. If a person has an animal and he says, this is for the Bet HaMikdash, and then he slaughters it outside of the Mikdash, v'achakach nish'al alea, patur kevan sheyesh she'ela behekdesh, ki'ilu lo hikdisha me'olam. I'm sorry. She'ela be'ekdesh, she'ela is that you lend it out, or that you question it, that you just undo it, like sho'el.
To dissolve a consecration of consecrated property. It's very difficult English for me.
Just dissolve she'ela.
Requesting desolation.
To tell us that there is such a thing as petitioning for a vow of consecration to be annulled. Yes, so you could ask on it, and you could undo your hekdesh that you said. Because when you say something's hekdesh, it is
Belong to Bet HaMikdash.
yeah. So you could undo it. Okay, because it's like an oath, and it seems like you could undo it. Okay, so and that is the comparison to Yachid Mumche by Nedarim. So too by Hekdesh, one person could undo it. By shchutei chutz, when a person accidentally does the shechita outside and realizes, oh my gosh, I wasn't allowed to do this, he could undo the kedusha of the hekdesh, and he's patur. So let's read that Ran again. She'im hikdish behema v'shachta b'chutz v'achar kach nish'al aleha patur. Dekema sheyesh she'ela behekdesh ki'ilu lo hikdisha me'olam, as if he did not do hekdesh on it at all. Dami, it's compared to the chacham oker haneder mikaro. Chacham unroots the neder from its source. So now the Gemara questions this. Back to the Gemara. Lebet Shammai, last one line. Lebet Shammai da amar en she'ela behekdesh. According to Bet Shammai, that says there's no she'ela behekdesh. Rashem matot ichtiv b'shchutei chutz lema yilcheta. So then, if he doesn't hold to this concept at all, then what is Rashem matot by shchutei chutz coming to teach us? Answers the Gemara, Bet Shammai lit lehu gzera shava. He doesn't hold of the gzera shava. A very easy way is a gzera shava is something that is halacha Moshe Sinai. That it's because there's many words in the Torah. It says here, it says there. Oh, let's compare the two. Who can make those comparisons? No, we say that it came from Moshe Rabbeinu. He taught it, and they had the tradition that these two are connected. But just like many machlokets in the Gemara, we spoke about this yesterday at the end of the Tehillim Shiur, due to our enemies and the learning, they need to start writing things down. Whatever people are forgetting because we were under duress because of our enemies. So too things you could have. We've seen this, I'm sure, in the Gemara. We could have that there's traditions of Gzera Shavaz, and then one said, no, I never had that tradition from my rabbis, that this is a connection between the two. So that's what's going on over here as well. Bet Shammai says, let Lu Gzera Shavaz. He didn't have that Gzera Shavaz. He didn't have a tradition from his rabbi that these two were connected. It seems that the Gemara seems maybe unanimous except for Bet Shammai that no, this was a connection between these two. And if we could learn one from the other. Bet Shammai didn't have that tradition. So that right away that answers the question, because if Bet Shammai is not of the opinion of he holds in she'ela behekdesh, so then what's Rashi Matot going to teach us by shchutei chutz? Answers Bet Shammai. It says the Gemara. Well, you could just say that Bet Shammai didn't have this gzera shava, and therefore there's no connection Rashi Matot to shchutei chutz. Bet Shammai let lehu gzera shava ze adavar. So let lehu gzera shava. So now, if we don't have that gzera shava, then how is he going to learn Nedarim? Because in Nedarim we say that you have Yachid Mumche. That's from Rashi Matot. Because if you remember the pasuk of Nedarim, which was on the earlier page, it says Rashi Matot livnei Yisrael lemor zeh hadavar shetzivah Hashem. In Nedarim, all we have is Rashi Matot. We don't have Aaron, Banav, Kol Yisrael. So therefore, Rashi Matot teaches us Yachid Mumche, that you could undo a neder with one Chacham. Where do we have that you have three regular people? That we learned from shchutei chutz. But Shammai doesn't have that connection to shchutei chutz. So where are we going to get that from? So the Gemara now asks, Zeh davar b'parashat Nedarim lemay ktiv. What is it written for? Zeh davar. Says the Gemara, according to Bet Shammai, lomar chacham matir ve'en baal matir, baal mefer ve'en chacham mefer. So, okay, Zeh davar teaches us, like we learned already, Chacham does Hatara Nedarim, not a husband. A husband does Hafara Nedarim, not a Chacham. Actually, I'm sorry. I think that was the end of Bet Shammai. Now we're just going to general what Zeh davar is. Bet Shammai doesn't hold this connection. I don't think the Gemara is going deeper into Bet Shammai, because in general we don't posek like Bet Shammai. Because what's a question now on Bet Shammai is, okay, Bet Shammai, fine, you don't hold of this Zera Shava, but then where do you get the 3 Ediotot for Nedarim? Seems that the Gemara is not going into that. Again, maybe because we don't rule like Bet Shammai. But the Gemara is now going back to the connection between Nedarim and Shchutei Chutz. It says in our pasuk, so it says by both of us, Zeh Davar. So Zeh Davar b'Parashat Nedarim l'may k'tiv. Why is it written Zeh Davar? L'ma Chacham matir ben ba'matir, Ba'al mefer ben Chacham mefer, as we learned. Chacham does hatara, not a husband, and the husband does hafara, not a chacham. Zeh Davar b'Shchutei Chutz l'may k'tiv. So now Zeh Davar by Shchutei Chutz, that you're not allowed to do shechita outside of the Mishkan. What does it come to teach us? Says the Gemara, Lomar ala shechita chayav ve'en chayav ala melika. That, now I see that they're going to come to Bet Shammai. But we learn Zeh Davar by Shchutei Chutz on shechita and not on melika. Melika is we spoke about yesterday on Shabbat, the birds that we bring, the Torah and the Ben Yonah. Now the birds, the shechita was really called melika, and that was from the thumbnail of the Kohen. So the Kohen with his thumbnail would do the shechita. So like this, if let's say a person comes to the Bet HaMikdash or the Mishkan with a bird already slaughtered, with melika, it was already outside.
By a Kohen. The Kohen is the one.
So I think the Kohen is the one that does it. Could be
because they have a special nail. Like not anybody can do it.
They can do it. Yeah, but it could be maybe the Israel also is allowed. I said Kohen, but maybe Israel is also allowed because I think the shechita could also be done by Israel in the Mishkan area. That was the area that I think the Israel could be. So let's say the bird already came slaughtered. That is not a violation. The violation is ala shechita chayav ve'en chayav ala melika. That's what Zeh Davar teaches us by Shchutei Chutz. So now the Gemara asks, El Bet Shammai lachshir gimel hedyotot minalan. So now, according to Bet Shammai, where does he get that for the 3 regular people that you could undo a neder from 3 people? Because we learned by that the connection, the Gzera Shava, Zeh Davar of Nedarim, Zeh Davar of Shchutei Chutz. It says by Shchutei Chutz, Aharon Ubanav, the Kol Israel. That teaches us by Nedarim, you could undo Nedarim with 3. So where do we get that from according to Bet Shammai if there's no connection? All we have is Rashi Amatot by Nedarim. Where do we learn that from? Answers the Gemara, Nafka lehu midirav Asi bar Natan. He learns it from the teaching of Rav Asi bar Natan. Dichtiv, Vadaber Moshe et Moadei Hashem et Bnei Israel. Hashem and Moshe told over the holidays of Hashem to the Jewish nation. Ve'atanya, this is the pasuk, and it says in a Braita regarding this pasuk. Rabbi Yossi Aglili Omer. Rabbi Yossi Aglili says, Mo'adeh ne'emru, v'lo ne'emra Shabbat Bereshit imahem. The Mo'adim were said, and Shabbat Bereshit was not said with them. Shabbat Bereshit basically is referred to, it means Shabbat. It's sometimes they're going to call it Shabbat Bereshit because Shabbat of Bereshit, that literally means Shabbat of creation. And the Shabbat of creation was the 7th day. Because sometimes Shabbat could mean holidays, right? Like just now we're talking about Sifrat Omer, Machorat Shabbat, the day after Shabbat, which is referring to the first day of Pesach. So just to really clarify, so the Gemara over here says Shabbat Bereshit because we're talking about the Moadim. So Yossi Aglili says, when Moshe told over the Moadim, it was the Moadim, Moadeh ne'emru, v'lo ne'emra Shabbat Bereshit imahen. But Shabbat was not included in that discussion when Moshe told this over to Bnei Israel. Ben Azai Omer, Ben Azai says, bottom thin line, Moadai ne'emru, or Moadei Hashem ne'emru, v'lo ne'emar Parashat Nedarim imahem. The Moadim were said, but not the parasha of Nedarim was not said with them. Okay, not sure the connection over here. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. At this point last night I was already half learning, half asleep. But it was, let's save this for late, and it was, so let's figure it out. Let's just take a look at the run quickly. Okay, yeah, what's the connection in Nedarim?
It's gonna come up.
Yeah, I think that's the discussion now. The Gemara is going to say, like, what's the I think from themselves we're going to see the connection. Just take a look. Just a second. Yeah, it's, the story continues. So we're not the only ones that are questioning this, because this Braita seems odd. It's talking about the Moadim and not talking about Nedarim. Like, what's the connection? And that's exactly what Rav Asi, 4 lines up from the bottom, Rav Asi Bar Natan, Kashya le hamatnita. He had a question on this Mishnah, like, what's the connection to the Moadim? Ata le Neharda, le kamed Rav Sheshet. He went to Neharda in front of Rav Sheshet, velo ashkache, and he didn't find the answer. Ata abatre le mechuza. He went to mechuza. After that, he went to mechuza. Amar le, and they told him, or amru le. Mechuza, I guess, was a place. It doesn't say who the chacham was. Amru le, moadei Hashem neemru velo neemra Shabbat bereshit imayin. They told him, like the explanation of Yossi Aglili, that Moadim were there in the pasuk, and not Shabbat. Says the Gemara, "V'haketiv Shabbat imahen." V'haketiv Shabbat imahen. V'tu Moadei Hashem ne'emru, v'lo ne'emra parasha Nedarim imahem, v'hamesitra ketiva.
It's not the pasuk from Parashat Pinchas, the Dalet here. That's what's referring to Parashat Nedarim, I think.
What do you have a dalet there?
Oh, this one, Be'afer Yeferotam, Isha B'yam Shamo. The pasuk on the side, the Dalet.
No, I don't have a dalet. Goes up, mine goes up to Gimel. Maybe it's quoted from a.
Well, it continues, yeah, it goes up to Vav. But
Maybe that's quoted not from the Gemara. Maybe it's quotes from.
I have a Dalet right beside Nedarim Mahem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Where does that dalet go to? Not that one. I know. Where is this? Where's that dalet on the page?
Oh, it's right there.
No, that dalet
It's
is
not
for, it's for there.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same dalet.
Hmm.
So this Gimel is there.
Hmm.
It's the exact same font and everything. So this dalet is probably a quote. See that vav?
Mhm.
It's there. Kedichtiv, when it says in the pasuk,
Oh.
that's referring to there. So these must be quotes from somewhere in the Ran. The Gemara. This is a more advanced Gemara that it even does that for the runs. Very good.
I think the connection is about the kiddush, about the sanctification. Yeah, Ekdesh, because it says on the next line, next page, it says Modeh Hashem need Ekdesh from the Bedin, and Shabbat Bereshit does not need. I don't know if the Kiddush is the right one or just Kiddush. That's what it says.
Or it does not need. Right, you need it for.
Yeah, that's like the connection. Why they bring vows here.
Adam Batir the Mechuzah, he went to Mechuzah, or he followed Rav Sheshet to Mechuzah. Amar Lei said to him, what does Rav Yossi Glili mean when he says the festivals of Hashem were said, but the Shabbat of creation was not said with them? Why? The Shabbat is written together with them. In the very section in Vayikra 23, the Torah delineates all the festivals and mentions Shabbat with them. That's maybe with the Ran that you're quoting. Yeah, Asher Tikru Otam, I think that's the Vav that you have. So we do have a time where Shabbat is together with them. Maybe put on mute, Odette? Or Nisim, because I hear myself twice.
I want to ask something.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, you wanted to ask? Yeah. Okay, sorry. Let's just finish it up. Aktivi Mahen. What does Ben Azai mean when he says festivals of Hashem were said, but the passage of the annulment of vows was not said with them? But why? The passage of the annulment of vows is written by its side. The Torah in Bamidbar discusses sacrifices, and immediately afterwards begins the passage of annulment of vows. And it's right beside them. אמר להחיקתני, מועדי השם צריכים קידוש בית-דין, שבת בראשית אין צריכים קידוש בית-דין. We'll keep this for tomorrow, but basically the Moadim need Kiddush Beit-Din, meaning back in the day you needed to have see the moon. Beit-Din has to say, okay, it's the new month, and then you now know when the Chagim are. But Shabbat you never needed that for, you always know the seventh day. Shabbat אין צריכים Kiddush. Beit-Din, מועדי השם צריכים מומחה, והם פרשת נדרים צריכים מומחה. Yeah, that the Moadim need a mumche. You need a chacham to rule that, but Nedarim don't need a mumche. Let's save that piece for tomorrow. Let me just quickly take a look at the Ran. Yeah, if you look at the Ran, 3, 6, 8 lines down on the wide lines, there's a few of them there, one after the other, but it says Veha Ketiv Shabbat Bereshit Imahen. Because this Rav Yossi Aglili, he went to Rav Yossi, Rav Asi Bar Natan, and went after Rav Sheshet, and he says, what do you mean? It says Veha Ketiv Shabbat Bereshit Imahen, the Seder Emor, and the Kohanim, Parashat Emor, and the Kohanim, Ktiva Shabbat u'Moadot, Batar Hachi Bechad Parshata. It says Shabbat and the Chagim in one parasha. And then also when Nedarim, it says it right after the Chagim. V'ha-Misitra Ketiva. It says at its side, Parashat Nedarim Ketiva Beketzeh Parashat HaMoadot, B'Seder Pinchas, Ketivi Kulu Moadot. U'Batar Hachi, right after the Chagim, it says, Batar Hachi Barasha Matot, Parashat Nedarim, Parashat Matot. It says Nedarim. Sitra Tirgum Shel Katzeh. Sitra means at the end, at the side. So look at the next round. מועדי השם צריכים קידוש בית דין, כדכתיב, אשר תקראו אותם, קריא באותם שצריכים בית דין, לקדש ראשי חודשים, כדי לעשות המועדות בזמנן. That בית דין needs to do the new month in order to have the new Chagim. Shabbat doesn't need it. Okay, so we'll pause here in the middle of the story, but basically we're still trying to answer for for Bet Shammai. Bet Shammai does not have Gzera Shava. And if he doesn't have the Gzera Shava, then we're just limited to Nedarim and the Psukim of Nedarim. The Psukim of Nedarim just has the words Rashi Amatot, which teaches us that a Yachid Mumche, a Chacham, could undo a Neder. But where do we get that 3 regular people could undo the Neder? We don't have the answer for that yet. But the Gemara starts off by bringing a Braita. Gemara starts off by bringing a Braita. Hold on a second. The Gemara starts off by bringing a Braita of Shabbat and the Chagim, and there's that Ben Azai says, yeah, the Chagim are mentioned, but not Nedarim. What's the connection? We're trying to figure that out. Or Yassi Bar Natan is going after Sheshet for an answer, and we're kind of in the middle of that story. We'll continue that tomorrow. Sorry, I didn't have that clear again. It was last night was one of those days. Fell asleep in the office till 3 in the morning. Start with my Gemara open. Yes, Nisi, I'm sorry.
Good question, please.
Recorder on still or recorder off?
It can be recorded.
Okay.
Up to now, we have always like discussed about Aham or Betin can do Matir, and husband or father can do Efe. Right. So what's the situation between a master and a slave?
A master and a slave. It's a good
Yeah,
question.
like there is an Eved Yodi and a master. So if the Eved wants to make an Eved,
It's a good question. I don't think there's Hafara Nadarim there. Hafara is specifically father and daughter and husband-wife, but not Eved. Eved, I think, goes into the regular category of Hatara Nadarim, as far as I know. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Chazak Baruch. Okay, guys, see you later. Have a good day. And Shavua Tov.
Great week, everyone.
Thank you. We'll see you. You too. Thank you, Zev.